There's a difference between a horror movie that scares you while you're watching it and a horror movie that lingers in your head after it's over. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is one of those movies because this movie understands something a lot of modern horror forgets. What you don't know is often scarier than what you do. And honestly, that's why this movie feels so effective. Most of the film takes place inside one morgue. That's it. No giant location, no huge cast, no nonstop action scenes, just cold hallways, forensic lighting, silence, and one unidentified body sitting in the center of the room. And somehow that simplicity makes everything feel worse because the movie traps both the characters and the audience in the same space together. The deeper the autopsy goes, the more suffocating the atmosphere becomes. And confined settings in horror work so well because they remove comfort. You start feeling stuck with the character. Every hallway feels smaller, every sound feels louder, every shadow starts feeling dangerous. And this movie uses silence in such a smart way. A lot of horror movie depends on loud jump scares every 5 minutes, but the autopsy of Jane Doe builds dread slowly. The radio playing in the background, the bells ringing, the sound of footsteps, long moments of silence where you're just waiting for something terrible to happen. That anticipation creates anxiety. Your brain starts imagining things before the movie even shows you anything. And honestly, that's psychological horror at its best. The movie also does something really interesting with Jane Doe herself. She barely moves the entire film. Think about that. Most horror villains chase people, scream, attack constantly, physically dominates every scene. Jane Doe doesn't need to do any of that. She just lies there, completely still. And somehow, she becomes one of the most creepiest presence in modern horror. That's because the fear comes from uncertainty. The characters don't understand her. The audience don't understand her. And every answer they uncover creates only more questions. That feeling of not fully understanding what you're dealing with is terrifying because people naturally want explanations. We want things to make sense. But this movie keeps taking certainty away piece by piece. And then there's the father and son dynamic between Tommy and Austin. Their relationship is a huge reason why the movie works emotionally. Without it, this could have just been another creepy supernatural movie. But their relationship grounds the story. You can feel the trust between them, the history, the comfort, the routines, which makes everything happening around them feel even more disturbing. Because psychological horror works best when it destroys normalcy. And that's exactly what this movie does. It takes an ordinary night at work and slowly turns it into a nightmare neither of them can control. And honestly, I think one of the scariest parts of this movie is the idea that the real horror may have started long before the morgue. You know, the clues throughout the film suggest Jane Doe may have been tortured during the Salem witch trials. And if that's true, then the movie becomes even darker because now the horror isn't just supernatural, it becomes about suffering, fear, paranoia, and what people are capable of doing to someone they don't understand. That psychology layers gives the movie a weight. And it's not just trying to scare you, it's trying to leave you uncomfortable. And that's why the autopsy of Jane Doe continues to stick with horror fans years later. Not because it's the loudest movie, not because it has the most gore, but because it understands dread. It understands atmosphere. And it understands that sometimes the scariest thing in the room is the thing that never moves at all. But like I always say, don't play games you can't win. And I'll see you in the next nightmare.